Reconstructionist Radio Podcast Network presents the Kingdom Driven Family Podcast with your host, Andrea Schwartz. This podcast will equip and empower you to help advance Christ's kingdom through God's primary institution, the family, building a home that serves Christ and His kingdom.
This is Andrea Schwartz with the Kingdom Driven Family Podcast, number 2, The Mother's War. Back when I was about to publish my second book, The Homeschool Life, Discovering God's Way to Family-Based Education, I came across an article by an author by the name of Vox Day. And to be honest, I don't really know a lot about him, but I saw this article and I thought it summed up pretty well the important role mothers play in the life of a family, of a culture, and ultimately a nation. Since Mother's Day 2017 is coming up on May 14th, I thought I would share this from my book. It's entitled The Mother's War. This is what he has to say. Mother's Day is, to be honest, somewhat of an annoyance. It's manifestly one of those tedious Hallmark holidays wherein everyone is supposed to run out and support the revenue stream of cardboard manufacturers in the name of expressing gratitude to mothers, fathers, grandparents, and anyone else to whom we might be related. I imagine it won't be long until September 18th is declared Anonymous Sperm Donors Day, which will probably be celebrated by giving matching card sets to one's two mommies and lighting a candle for dear old anonymous sperm donor, whoever he might be. Mothers are not only important, they are absolutely vital due to their position as frontline shock troops in the ongoing centuries-long struggle for the survival of Western civilization. Despite the fact that their maternal instinct has been harassed, criticized, mocked, belittled, and subjected to a 40-year effort to indoctrinate it out of existence, our mothers stubbornly continue doing the only thing we actually need women to do in order for our civilization to survive: bearing and raising children. We don't need female doctors. We don't need female scientists. We don't need female entrepreneurs. We don't need female producers of PowerPoint presentations, and we really don't need female politicians. While we can argue about whether such luxuries are beneficial or detrimental to society, there is no arguing the empirical evidence which proves that civilization has survived without them before and could easily do so again. But without mothers, there is no civilization. Without mothers, there is no future for the civilized. Europe is in the process of discovering what a world without mothers is like. It is an ugly picture, a brutal picture. It is a probable future that promises to be much worse than the most exaggerated images of past patriarchal oppression ever painted by Betty Friedan or Gloria Steinem. Without mothers, there is only barbarism and the choice between the brothel and the burqa. Motherhood is a sacrifice. It may mean putting off a college education and a career, or even giving them up entirely. It may mean sacrificing a flawless figure. It may mean sacrificing dreams. It definitely means putting 2, 3, 4, or more lives ahead of your own. But motherhood is also an expression of hope. Motherhood is a vote of confidence in the future of mankind. Motherhood is the brave voice of a woman saying, "I will not live life for today. I will create life for many tomorrows." Cards, gifts, and flowers are no adequate expressions of gratitude for this living statement of faith. In the ongoing war against Christian civilization, it is the mothers who matter most. The sterile secularists don't fear Christian intellectuals or Christian pastors. They regard the former as petty annoyances, and there's little need to worry about one weekly hour of Christian teaching on Sundays overcoming 40 hours of secular reprogramming from Monday to Friday. But they fear our mothers, who can create children faster than they can manage to indoctrinate them. And they are downright terrified of our homeschooling mothers, who rob them of their primary means of creating a new generation of secular barbarians. Every time a woman says, "I do," every time a wife turns to her husband and says, "Let's have another baby," every time a mother hugs her child and says, "How would you like me to be your teacher?" she is striking a powerful blow in defense of her faith, her family, her church, and God. We should celebrate these bold decisions, these audacious acts as victories, not just for the family and the faith, but for civilization and mankind. It's not enough to thank our mothers. We owe them a debt that cannot be repaid. But we can and we must love them, honor them, support them, and sustain them as they faithfully continue to wage their mother's war. Happy Mother's Day from this mother and from an entire culture that will reap the positive benefits of Christian women fulfilling their duty and their callings as wives and mothers, as we seek to build kingdom-driven families and make our priorities the kingdom of God and His righteousness.
Thank you for joining Andrea Schwartz and the Kingdom Driven Family Podcast, holding up the family and self-government as a true and lasting means of transforming society. Please visit thekingdomdrivenfamily.com and reconstructionistradio.com